Tai means foot. Quan means hand. Do, the art of. Taekwondo. Taekwondo is an evolution of the martial arts system that soldiers have used since the Harong times, circa 600 AD, defending a nation against aggressors. In its beginnings, Taekwondo was a brutal martial art that was taught for military purposes. It is a kind of martial art in which one attacks or defends with hands and feet anytime or anywhere, with an occasional use of weapons. The oldest governing body is the Korea Taekwondo Association, formed in 1959 through collaborative effort by representatives from the 9 original kwans, or martial arts schools, in Korea. The main international organizational bodies are International Taekwondo Federation and the Partnership of Kukiwon and World Taekwondo. Now it is much more than a sport. It is even in the Olympics, which means it has much more rules and is much less dangerous in a street fight or self-defense. Garugi is a type of full contact sparring and has been an Olympic event since 2000. In 2018, the Korean government officially designated Taekwondo as Korea's national martial art. Since 2021, Taekwondo has been one of 3 Asian martial arts, others being judo and karate, and one of 6 total others, Greco-Roman wrestling, freestyle wrestling, and boxing, included in the Olympic Games. The components of the theory of power. Reaction force. The principle that as the striking limb is brought forward, other parts of the body should be brought backwards in order to provide more power to the striking limb. As an example, if the right leg is brought forward in a roundhouse kick, the right arm is brought backwards to provide the reaction force. Concentration. The principle of bringing as many muscles as possible to bear on a strike. Concentrating the area of impact into as small of an area as possible. Equilibrium. Maintaining a correct center of balance throughout a technique. Breath control. The idea that during a strike, one should exhale, with the exhalation concluding at the moment of impact. Mass. The principle of bringing as much of the body to bear on a strike as possible. Again, using a turning kick as an example. The idea would be to rotate the hip as well as the leg during the kick in order to take advantage of the hip's additional mass in terms of providing power to the kick. Speed. As previously noted, the speed of execution of a technique in Taekwondo is deemed to be even more important than mass in terms of providing power. Typical curriculum in Taekwondo. Forms. The same function as a kata. Sparring. Variations of freestyle sparring. 7, 3, 2, 1 step sparring, and point sparring. Breaking. Boards, bricks, tiles, blocks of ice, or other material. Power breaking. Using straightforward techniques to break as many boards as possible. Speed breaking. Boards are held loosely by one edge, putting special focus on the speed required to perform the break. Special techniques. Breaking fewer boards, but by using jumping or flying techniques to attain greater heights, distance, or to clear obstacles. Self-defense techniques. Learning the fundamental techniques of Taekwondo, these generally include kicks, blocks, punches, and strikes, with somewhat less emphasis on grappling and holds, throwing, and or falling techniques. Typical curriculum in Taekwondo continue. Both anaerobic and aerobic workout, including stretching. Anaerobic is a type of exercise that breaks down glucose in the body without using oxygen. Aerobic exercise is the inverse. Oxygen is needed to break down the glucose. Relaxation and meditation exercise, as well as breathing control. A focus on mental and ethical discipline, etiquette, justice, respect, and self-confidence. Examinations to progress to the next rank. Development of personal success and leadership skills. Though weapons training is not a formal part of most Taekwondo curricula, individual schools will often incorporate additional training with weapons such as staffs, knives, and sticks. The 5 tenets of Taekwondo. A tenet is an opinion, principle, or doctrine that a person holds or maintains as true. These tenets are courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and indomitable spirit. These should serve as a guide for all serious students of the art. Courtesy. Taekwondo students should attempt to practice the following elements of etiquette: to promote the spirit of mutual concessions, to be ashamed of one's vice, contempting that of others, to be polite to one another, to encourage the sense of justice, and to distinguish the instructor from student and senior from junior. Integrity. In Taekwondo, the word integrity assumes a looser definition than the one usually presented in Webster's dictionary. One must be able to define right and wrong and have the conscience, if wrong, to feel guilt. Here are some examples where integrity is lacking. The student who misrepresents himself by fixing breaking materials before demonstrations. The student who requests rank from an instructor or attempts to purchase it. The student who gains rank for ego purposes or the feeling of power. Perseverance. There's an old Asian saying, patience leads to virtue or merit. Certainly, happiness and prosperity are most likely brought to the patient person. To achieve something, whether it is a higher degree or the perfection of a technique, one must set his goal, then constantly persevere. Robert Bruce learned his lesson of perseverance from the persistent efforts of a lowly spider. It was this perseverance and tenacity that finally enabled him to free Scotland in the 14th century. One of the most important secrets in becoming a leader in Taekwondo is to overcome every difficulty by perseverance. Self-control. This tenet is extremely important inside and outside of the dojo, whether conducting oneself in free sparring or in one's personal affairs. A loss of self-control in free sparring can prove disastrous to both student and opponent. An inability to live and work within one's capability or sphere is also a lack of self-control. Indomitable spirit. Here lies 300 who did their duty. A simple epitaph for one of the greatest acts of courage known to mankind. Although facing the superior forces of Xerxes, Leonidas and his 300 Spartans at Thermopylae showed the world the meaning of indomitable spirit. It is shown when a courageous person and his principles are pitted against overwhelming odds. A serious student of Taekwondo will at all times be modest and honest. If confronted with injustice, he will deal with the belligerent without any fear or hesitation at all. With indomitable spirit, regardless of whosoever and however many the number may be. The Taekwondo Student Oath. I shall observe the tenets of Taekwondo. I shall respect the instructors and seniors. I shall never misuse Taekwondo. I shall be a champion of freedom and justice. I shall build a more peaceful world. The World Taekwondo Federation directly sanctions the following competitions: World Taekwondo Pumse Championships, World Taekwondo Championships, World Para Taekwondo Championships, World Taekwondo Cadet Championships, World Taekwondo Junior Championships, World Taekwondo Para Championships, World Taekwondo Grand Prix, World Taekwondo Grand Slam, World Taekwondo Beach Championships, Olympic Games, and Paralympic Games. Other competitions include International Taekwondo Federation Competition, British Student Taekwondo Federation, American Amateur Athletic Union, African Games, European Games, Pacific Games, Pan American Games, Universiade, and it is optional at Commonwealth Games.